YouTube, welcome to the top 8 grand finale of the new pack day, and boy, has Draco Tail been absolutely clapping everyone's cheeks. There has not been as much Retaliating Sea as I thought there would be. We in fact saw Retaliating Sea be summoned twice in the last duel of the previous video, and you'll just have to see for yourself on why it just wasn't good enough. Oh my Jesus. We even have people hoping and coping on Secretarion Dragon. You could use Super Poly if you want to add this to your deck, and then their special summon Spellcaster and Dragon will not be activatable as you fuse away their own. But watch it as long as you can, that greatly supports this event. And as I said in another video, don't worry if you think that Master Duel is screwed again by there being a single best deck, which is probably the case, but it's only momentarily because Konami's going to do the right thing. They're not going to repeat the mouse mistake of having a single best deck with every other deck being neutered by a ban list or nonsense or not being modernized enough, as they're going to maybe very shortly, soon, release Yummy, K9, and Vanquish Soul, which then the meta will be a lot healthier as we're going to have multiple different super top tier decks and all that good stuff, all right? Hajime.
There can only be one winner, and you're looking at it. Let's go.
Femina activating a fusion summon into our Malulu and Pan, which will summon their Thalion. We're going to return 2 cards engraved back to the hand, Femina being one of them. As the Malulu and Pan set 2 cards into the back row, we got the Kitu to search our deck and Rahu to fuse with the deck. We're going to have a ton of disruption here and a healthy hand as we search for our normal summon. Lucius searching for the Urgula. We're now going to use the Rahu to fuse with the hand and deck. Come forth into Gulamel. Urgula and Femina is going to set up a spell negate and a monster return back mate. The Urgula is going to return back the Femina to fusion summon during the opponent's turn. And oh boy, we have the ability to, he's activating that right away. The Femina is only activatable within the main phase during either player's turn, which could trigger the Malulu to negate a monster, the Urgula to pop a back row. I'm not going to consider that a form of disruption, but in the mirror match, I actually would, because they're setting Kitu and a Rahu, so this is actually good to be searching if you want to win the mirror. And in addition to the Malulu non-target negate, it's going to be on a higher chain link. Let's say I'm trying to summon a Murakumo. Well, in response to you summoning Murakumo, I initiate the fusion with Malulu, and then on the higher chain link, your Murakumo gets negated, but it has to be on the field. So you want to be ready with the prayers to dodge the Malulu negate. Now, beyond that, Malulu negate, we have an Arthalion return back, a spell negate, a monster return back, a pop with the Gulamel, and an Ash Blossom plus a Max C, and the ability to draw an additional 2 more hand traps. This is 6 to 8 disruptions. Let's go. We are activating Max C. We could still use the Flame if we want. We're holding onto the Flame. The Flame does not have to be the direct chain link to the spell. So wait, throw out some bait, and we're going to use the Flame to negate what? The prayers or the Crossout Designate? It will be the Crossout Designate. So while we go from 6 to 5, we might go back up to 6 if we draw into a hand trap. Nope, still 5. Negate the Crossout. You must deal with the Max C. Totally fair. Let's special the Saji. They drew into an Albaz. The Habakiri is going to be searching as the Saji also searches our deck. We have the Mitsurugi Ritual ready, plus a Prayers. Now to the main phase. Let's Ritual Summon as, what did I say? Get the Malulu on the higher chain link to negate whatever they summon. So we have to ideally not summon Murakumo, or, you know, it could still be a good idea to make sure it's properly summoned so that we could trigger it later, possibly. The Gulamel is going to be directly chaining to our own card to destroy a card in the field, taking out the Saji. And what we are going to summon is, we go into our Thalion, and then we're going to see what he summons. Whatever he summons will get negated by Malulu. Negated by Malulu. Okay. So we're going to be the lower chain link, as we're going to add from the deck and wipe away the field and add back from the graveyard. We're going to Arthalion, return back the Murakumo, and negate the Murakumo and set from the deck. We're going to force you to discard if you want to set from the deck, but we're still negated and returned back. So, you know, if you don't understand this, think about like stacking plates. The higher plate, we're going to negate. The lower plate, we're going to return back. So we negate it, then we return it back, And then when we get to its own effect, it will be negated, as long as it was not flipped face down. Flipping face down wipes away the negate. Leaving the field does not. So negate, then return, as it's no longer properly summoned. If we were to tribute it with the prayers, it will not reborn itself back in the field. We have to properly ritual summon it again, which is a massive downside. We're now under Duel. We can't add from the deck. We're going to tribute off the Murakumo, which, as I said, it's not properly summoned. So it's just in the graveyard like absolute trash. Prayers can't reborn it back. The Typhon is not a quick effect, it's not a trigger effect, it's spell speed freaking 1, thus the Horn returns it back before it even activates, so return a card back. Gulamel, in response to any Draco Tail card, is going to be chaining to pop a card in the field. You want to pop my Imperm? How about I negate you, and also negate the column, negate the sting. As we fuse with the Pan and the Urgula, Urgula is going to non-target destroy the prayers. You have to activate prayers now. First the Pan. Do you understand this checkmate? Pan will non-target destroy a monster, but there's no monster to destroy. Urgula is going to destroy the prayers, which would summon a monster, which would then be destroyed by the Pan. So what do? Whatever you do with the prayers, that if it was like that's what you do. That's correct. Surrender. Don't get too excited, all right? Draco Tail got to go first. It's now Sword, Raziel play, Habakiri all the way. Unfortunately, there's a double Fua. They ensured that this card would be activatable more than once in case the opponent could negate the first one. And that's just good balance. Let's go. Boom. Fua, Ash, negate. Gotcha. No, you didn't, because we got another one. Well, Abisoso, how well can you play against a resolved Fua loss? And whenever Ricky wants, he can also Ash you and also Droll you. Ash on the Saji, it's a great play. A wonderful play, the best play. That's negate. I don't think so, mate. And now we just have Droll, but that would also turn off the Fua, as I said. Let's trade. Grab the X-Raziel, hits him with the Droll to turn off our own Fua loss. Send the aggregates. Let's go into a detonator. Detonate, attach the aggregate. That's going to give us 4 disruption, 3 pop plus a monster negate and an impermanence. 5 disruption on paper. The number 5, that's a big number, right? Well, let's see how that actually works out. Let's key 2, which will result in a fusion summon, which will result in you probably triggering an effect, right? So this is an opportunity to detonate. We could detach the aggregate to pop the key 2, then the aggregate will be on the higher chain link to negate whatever you summon. If you want to be wild, I'm not saying you should do this. You could even consider destroying yourself. If you destroy yourself, key 2 would not result in a fusion, but I mean, they still have a great play nonetheless. I would say to not do that. So we're going to hold on to the aggregate and just know that this Arthalion would be negated by the aggregator, straight up. So this is all triggering. And then on the higher chain link, aggregator would be chain link 4. Chain link 4, negate. We're going to detonate. And what's interesting is your own aggregator would chain link block your own detonator in response to the Malulu negating it. So you'd have to be thinking right here, right now, it's asking you, do you want to aggregate or do you want to say no and then use detonator instead? It's kind of awkward. Now we're going to imperm to negate you anyway. You have to get rid of the card on the lower chain link, negate it on the higher, negate it, then destroy it. It's not going to add back. And even though detonator's negated, we still have one more disruption. It's not done, it's not gone. We could still detach the aggregator to negate on a separate chain link. You don't do it now. You do it in response to a fusion. You could do it now, but like they already Arthalion. What are we even stopping? This Arthalion's not even activatable anyway. So, you know, we're just kind of chilling. The Arthalion in graveyard, Reborn's back, Femina's triggering, the Pan actually destroys the detonator. And that's a lot of damage. 78 mates. Do we have game? Let's have 3 traps. Reborn, Arthalion. Not enough. Almost there. Can you squeak out 200 damage? You're negated from doing nothing. And even after all that, we still have the ability to banish from the graveyard. We could return a monster back. We could negate a spell. The Habakiri already activated. We could also draw 3. 3 draw. Bell can negate one of them. Let's go. Bell into Typhon. Into defense. You can't horn me. There's a possibility where we draw into a disruption to stop the Typhon, right? Is that even possible? What can we draw into? No, we did not. All right, Typhon, return it. The flame and the horn are not even activatable. And let's get to it. So Abasoso, is that what you're trying to tell me, that after your matchup against Draco Tail, this pushed you to be playing Kashtira? And that means for the Sunday event, you're going to be playing Kashtira, right? Kashtira ensure that all their cards are banished. Draco Tail has pushed Abasoso to the dark side. Let's go. Is Tellarknight, Ptolemy, Gaga Go, Raziel, Cope time? Wait for the new Tellarknights, then it's going to be a good time, yeah? I don't know if it came out in the OCG yet to track their performance. We're going to chain the Femina to the Fulas. Let's fuse in response, as the Brain Infusion could just go into a Sanctifier. We got the Arthalion, and it's a juicy one. If we could Imperm Valor this, that'd be great. Send from the deck the Frixel, which allows the Sanctifier to be summoned and trigger the effect of a Draco Tail, otherwise you can't do so. As the Malulu is going to be set in, Lucius is going to be set in, and Frixel also be set in. The Abyssal Banish does not stop a set. And now we could fuse with the Kitu. Maybe we don't even want to do so because we are under the effect of Fulas. Add back the Femina. Maybe we'll just add, and that's it. So I do want to stress this. If you want to be learning Draco Tail, generally popping back row, we just know in our head that the popping back row is not really a disruption, but popping back row against Draco Tail is a disruption because they set their cards. They set their Rahu, they set their Kitu. So if you could Urgula, pop the Rahu or pop the Kitu, that could be a game-winning play. So I would say that this is a priority even more so than Malulu. And just in general, if you're fusing, he actually just fused under Fula. I didn't even expect him to do that. It was worth it to get the freaking floodgate out. There we go. Special summon spellcasters and dragons are not activatable. And everyone can play this if you're playing Super Poly, if you want to. Super Poly them up, and then you're gonna have to summon him into defense because otherwise the horn will return it back. And it's only a 1500 defense. It's gonna momentarily only be there if you're Super Polying up their field. Now, what are we even looking at? What the heck? We could banish from the grave, return a monster back, negate a spell. We could summon Albaz to fuse with their monsters, fuse into a form of disruption. We're floodgating with the Secretarion. We could fuse into a form of disruption. It's about 7 disruption, and we could draw up to 10. All right, let's go. Malulu is going to fuse it up into the Gulamel. Now, the Sanctifier cannot be targeted, but the Malulu doesn't target. This or Secretarion. One of these are going to be negated. We don't know until the resolution. What's it going to be? We're going to use Sting to banish the Pan. We're going to chain the Sanctifier because we don't know if it would get negated by the non-target negates. Now, the Albaz could get negated. We don't know until the resolution. We don't have to pay the cost until we know. So he's going to choose to negate Secretarion or Albaz. What's it going to be? Set, then negates the Albaz. Okay. And the Pan will destroy the Secretarion. You could have used Pan to destroy Albaz or negate the Secretarion. The Pan and Malulu, we're going to tank both of these cards either way. As we take out the Secretarion. There we go. Femina is going to fuse it up. Fusing with the Albaz and the Arthorleon, as we're now going to Star Source pop a card on the field. Remember I said the Urgula popping back was a disruption? Star Source is also another good option. If they're setting up their big plays, just pop it. I mean, you're thinking you want to negate those plays, right? If you could destroy the back row, that's pretty much a negate. Now, it's not as good, obviously, because if they have another copy, it would be activatable. You're negating the flame. Bell or Ash negates the traps. They don't draw, they don't negate, they don't return back. As we now summon Arthalion. Arthalion with 2 cards from the hand are going to target 2 cards to return back. He's targeting his own Magnum Hut to return back to the hand. You what, mate? And we're returning back our own Bell we just used, despite it being a hard once return. We're going to use Horn to return back the Arthalion. we got belled, and we got ashed. We got denied on drawing 2 freaking cards. We also got denied on returning a monster back. We got denied on negating a spell. Ash and Bell are the way to make some easy trades. We're going to take out their back row Rahu. Our other Rahu got destroyed by the Star Source, so we set up another one. And this is where, unfortunately, it is better, of course, to negate the effect, not the activation, and also better than destroying it because they get that other copy. We couldn't chainlink block the Femina, thus the Gulamel can now pop a card in the field. Do we have a Pan in the graveyard to trigger? We do not. We're going to set up the Flame into the back row. We're going to Urgula, add back the Femina to be used during the opponent's turn. Femina is going to fuse right now. What are you talking about the other turn? We're summoning our own Secretarion Dragon. Boy, does Draco Tail have a good turn 2 and turn 1. I mean, they're good and all parts of the duel. What the heck? Let's clean them up. It's really good. I mean, the Pan and Malulu helped break the fields. The Kitu helps break the freaking fields. And now, despite going second, we have Gargolo being the one to win this duel. Femina can't fuse. We need another Draco Tail. That's it. We have Valor, we have Fualos. We have draw 1. And that's obviously not going to be good enough. We should be able to squeak out lethal damage even under a Nibiru, even if they were to draw into that. Well, Femina's now turned on. Malulu can negate. And the Arthalion can return a card in the field back, but it can't because the Secretarion's gonna stop it from even being activatable. Even if Malulu negates the Secretarion, we still can't activate the Arthalion in the same chain link. Let's do it. Use up into Mysterion. This is wild. This is an interesting one. If a monster uses its activate effect to special summon itself, or a monster with its same original type, what? You could target one of those special summon monsters, banish that monster, and you could also banish all monsters from the field with its same original type. So let's make this understandable. If a dragon summons a dragon, or if a dragon summons itself onto the field, we're gonna target that dragon, and then we're gonna banish all of their dragons. That's probably the best case scenario. Or it would be the switch dragon with spellcaster if you want, like whatever you want to banish on their field, because I'm just thinking about banishing the Albion, so that's all you got to think about. Now, Femina is a spellcaster, and if the spellcaster, only if the spellcaster summons a spellcaster with this trigger to then banish that spellcaster and all the other spellcasters. So you guys kind of understand now, right? But dragon's the one that you really want to do. That's summoning itself, spellcaster. Bruh, that's it. I target Althalion, and then I banish it, and then I banish Sanctifier, and then I banish the Secretarion, and then I banish the Malulu, but we're a spellcaster, so we can't even activate because of Secretarion. So that whole fantasy doesn't even work. All right, but if it weren't for Secretarion, that's what we would have done. It was activatable. Okay. There we go. There we go. Secretarion, as I said earlier, it's the MVP of the day. The best Draco Tail player is going to make the best use out of this card. And it's not as simple as whoever summons it first. We did summon it first. It wasn't good enough. Branded Fusion, Channing the Fluid Loss. As we're going to be going into our Sanctifier, untargetable Sanctifier. Frixel will be triggering to set from the deck our Kitu. Kitu searching for the Lucius. Lucius on summon, searching so we could have more fuel for the Femina. Ending the turn. So we did not want to give him an additional draw, but it was one draw to give us a horn and a flame. 2 more disruption for 1 draw. Should we have just taken that trade? What do you think? Now instead, and it's not just return a monster back and negate, or it could have been banished from the grave, it's also draw 2. So we had 2 disruption plus draw 2, and all we had to do is give them one draw. I'm not trying to overly criticize. I'm just trying to, emphasize what exactly happened here. Now, despite all that, we still have good plays. And because we have so many other good plays, that could be a good reason to not even give them that single draw. Because DK, I already have a Veiler. I also have another Veiler. I also have the Femina, which could fuse into a disruption to return monsters back or pop a card. I could trigger Urgula to pop a Rahu in the back row, potentially. I could also Sanctify a Reborn Albaz to fuse with their monster. And what's the fusion gonna do? It's gonna be another disruption. So this is still 6 disruption that we really didn't need the others, right? Let's see. Veiler negates. This will risk the chance that they have a Femina already in the hand to dodge the Veiler. That's a Femina check. We checked it, no Femina. Now he's in the battle phase. The cope is that we now turned off the ability for Femina to even fuse, but he still has the play. And this is, we're gonna Maxi in response to the Femina. Let's draw 1, use it up. Arthalion cannot target back row cards, could target monster. Not that we would want to target a back row card. We're gonna be targeting our own Veiler, which it is usable. And we have the Urgula to pop a back row card. And do you understand that Gargola was ending his turn? I'm done, I'm ending. And before he ends his turn, Back's like, well, hold up, my Femina's only activatable in the main phase. And what's the worst that could happen? Well, the worst that could happen is that they chain a Maxi, and that Maxi draws into a play. And that's exactly what it did. It drew into a Rahu. So are we gonna greatly regret activating that Femina at the end of the main phase instead of just letting them end their turn? Let's find out. Because otherwise the Maxi would have been used on our own turn, but we would have had the attack to then maybe just lethal damage. We do have Veiler, and we do have the Sanctifier. The problem with Sanctifier is it's a draw 2. Do we really want to Reborn Albaz and Fuse to give them 2 more cards? And we for sure know that they were ending their turn. So of course they drew into that Rahu. We chain link blocked the Urgula, or I should say chain link blocked the Gulamel from chaining to the Urgula to pop a card in the field. We take out the Kitu. Urgula can now add back the Lucius. Ideally it would be a Femina, so that's not ideal. This is snowballing because we didn't let them end the turn. They were ending. Gargola says, I'm done. I end my turn. Hole up before you end. I'm going to give you a Rahu. And a Rahu he freaking got. Holy moly. I'm not saying Back like totally screwed this up, but I mean, you could maybe think he did within this specific scenario. Was it really worth it to get out our Femina? He's going to draw 2 more cards if you do this. Yep, still under Maxi. Draw 1, and draw again. Now, drawing a Brand Fusion at the end of the turn, not so good. Secretarion, and he drew into a Fua, so it wasn't really that big a deal giving him another Brand Fusion and a Fua loss, okay? Now, he does have a Femina. He's got Sting to banish the Femina or the Urgula that you're trying to return to the bottom of the deck to then grab the Femina. We're gonna use the Ash to negate. Not today, mate. So place it, and so does this even work? What were we trying to do? Does Sting really stop Urgula from adding back the Femina? Well, if we read that, target the Femina, place this to the bottom. If you do, add it. So obviously you wouldn't do that. If we banish it, it does stop it. So either or, banishing the Femina or the Urgula will stop it from adding. Lucius on normal summons, gonna be grabbing our own Urgula. Urgula is putting in a lot of freaking work, returning back your spellcasters, popping back row cards, overall great, but in its hand, by itself in your hand, it's a brick. Chain link block the Gulamel with our own Gulamel, thus our own Gulamel is not going to get popping. And you have to remember, you are floodgated right now. Your dragons, your spellcasters cannot activate. My Secretarion is only stopping yours. My own cards can activate. We are going to Ghost Spell negate the Secretarion from reborning a spellcaster or dragon from the grave, which would have been the Frixel. We're going to key 2. and chain our own Gulamel to pop the back row card, as your own cards are just completely floodgated up. We're going to add the Pan, and then we could fuse with it right away if we want to. We're not. We're going to use it with the Rahu, using with Malulu and Pan to summon the Arthalion. Now, we're going to return our own Ash back to the hand. We're going to Pan destroy one of your monsters. We're going to Malulu negate another, as we're also setting 2 cards from the deck. Are we going to, like, time out? This has been a pretty long turn. As we set up the Flame and the Horn, banish the Gulamel since it was reborn from the graveyard. And now they're going to Femina. But whatever you summon, it's not activatable. I have Secretarion. I don't care. Lucius is going to set a Rahu into the back row. To battle we go. Let's wipe out both of our Arthalions. 2 Arthalions, and all 4 are dead. You have Gulamel wiping you out. And unfortunately, not enough for lethal damage. End the turn. Now, the Sanctifier Albaz play, do we still have that? Is the Albaz in grave? Yes, we could reborn it, infuse with their field, so that's going to be a double disruption. We have the Floodgate of Secretarion. We could pop a card with Gulamel. We could Ash negate. We could Horn, return a monster back, but it could easily be played around. We could Flame, negate the spell. 7 disruption. Now, what's crazy here is the Flame and the Ash could both stop the Branded Fusion and the Rahu. So Gargolo, it's done. Checkmate. Ash negates the Rahu, and Flame negates the Branded Fusion. Activate, negate it up, got you, and you're done. Whoa! Ash negates the Flame from negating the Branded Fusion. Uh-oh. Did not account for that. Well, now that our Flame is negated, we are going to be summoning our Albion. Albion cannot activate while Secretarion's on the field. We have Arthalion reborning, our own Arthalion also reborning. The Gulamel cannot target the Sanctifier for destruction, unfortunately. We have a Horn, which also cannot target the Sanctifier. Arthalion in attack position, so the Horn is going to be able to return it back. We're going to Horn it, returning our own monster back to trigger our Gulamel. Okay. What are we doing? Was this not targetable? Now, also, here's how the Horn works. Return to the hand or extra, then draw. Did it go to the hand? Did it go to the extra? No, you don't then draw. So why did we not target the Arthalion, though? What the heck happened? Okay. Let's take out the Secretarion, which is getting Your Secretarion got reduced because you have a banished Arthalion because you returned your own Arthalion back to the extra, which got banished instead. Huh? It draws in the TCG? I'm sure it does. I didn't give you permission to add that Lucius back. If I reborn the Urgula or the Lucius, you don't get to add back. No. In fact, not only can you not add your Lucius back, how about your Lucius now works for me? I'm going to summon it, and I'm going to search for a follow-up play. Uh-oh. Yup. Your Lucius is mine, and now it's going to search a card for me. Ash will negate, though, at least. Negate. Still, the menace that Sanctifier is at 3,000 attack. We can't even take it out. What the heck is going on? I think we have to do an extra deck check, all right? This duel is getting quite deep. This Little Knight cannot target the Sanctifier for banishment. In our own extra deck, we have 1 Arthalion left, and Gargolo has how many other Arthalion? So it's 1 Arthalion versus 1 Arthalion is what I want to be checking here. We're going to be banishing away the opposing player's Albaz. The Arthalion's triggering because you link summoned. 2 bodies went to the grave at the same time, thus it's going to come back out. Begone Albaz. Well, there was no Urgula to banish instead. Yup, okay, that works out. And now it could just beat you down. If you don't have Urgula in graveyard, which it got returned back on the deck, then you're in a bad spot where you are straight up in top deck mode. No way! I feel like we were gonna win. What happened? I thought we were gonna win. Like, Gargolo had nothing. Gargolo had 2 spells and we had 2 negates, but then he had Ash. Think about this. Think about this. Are you thinking? I don't think you're thinking. Let's think about this together. So it all comes down to this pivotal moment where I think we didn't think about it well enough to play out the correct play. So it was a Rahu, Dracotail, Rahu D, and the other card was a Branded Fusion, and the other card was an Ash Bloss, and the other card was a Flame. What are we not thinking about here? I gotta do Dracotail Flame. There's too many flames. Dracotail Flame. Yes, this is, where's the Branded Fusion? Branded Fusion, you gotta type it correctly. There we go. This is a doozy, so you really wanna pay attention to this. I have a Rahu, I have a Branded Fusion, and I have an Ash. The opponent has a Flame, and they also have an Ash. Well, how do I sequence these cards? The Ash is enabling our own Rahu to even be activatable. Rahu summons a Dracotail Fusion, which requires a monster in our hand. Our only monster in the hand is Ash. So if we Rahu and the opposing player is going to use a Flame against it, they cannot, it would just stop it, right? It would just stop it. Because if we Ash the Flame, what happens? Then Rahu fizzles, right? Fizzle the Rahu because we no longer have Ash. And then what? We follow up Branded Fusion. And then Ash stops Branded Fusion, then our Ash can't stop an Ash. So we sequenced these cards incorrectly. We instead led with the Ash against the Rahu, and then Ash negated Flame. So to repeat real quick, the correct play was they Rahu, we Flame, they Ash or don't Ash. Either way, the Rahu is not gonna work, and then they Branded Fusion, then we chain Ash, and that would have been it. That duel would have been won in the favor of the player at the bottom, back, all right? So that was crazy. Branded Fusion. Ash is going to negate. We didn't bait out the Ash with another activation, which we now can follow up with the Rahu. Rahu is going to fuse with the Femina and their Agula into our Thalion. We're going to return 1 monster in the graveyard back, as we're going to be setting up both cards in the back. We have Key 2 for our normal summon, and we flame it up. Add back the Femina, don't mind if I do. Lucius is here. As we now draw Lockbird. Draw it up. Well, this deck does not need to add. We set, and we now Floodgate with Secretarion. Another downside with the deck, it's difficult. It's a weird thing to say, but I feel like all top tier decks should in some way accidentally play into Nibiru, but I just said it was a good thing that their turns are quick, so they don't play into Nibiru because their turns are quick, but then not being affected by Nibiru, that's kind of unhealthy in a way, I think. Now, we got the Floodgate. I mean, like, we summon an Albion, just can't even activate. We can't go into a play with the Branded Fusion really effectively due to this Floodgate. This is probably the worst thing I hate about the mirror match, is this being a thing. But we have seen duels where this being summoned turn 1 has not been an auto win. And I'm really curious if every non-Dracotail player puts in 3 Retaliating Sea and 3 Super Poly to summon Secretarion against them, that, maybe on this Sunday, you're going to have a much better chance and much more non-Dracotails within the top cut. I think that this pretty much happened with the Mitsurugi release and some other releases where day 1, it did very well, but then the next tournament, the non-players of that deck were putting in a lot more side deck cards, more Lancia, more Droll, and then for this will be more Retaliating Sea, more Super Poly, maybe even Ghost Spell into your deck. Malulu is here, fuse up with the Nibiru into a Gulamel that cannot activate. We're going to be able to negate a spell. The Flame is going to ensure that the second copy of Branded Fusion would not even be activatable. Horn's going to return back our own Arthalion to be able to draw a card. As we now have the Key 2, But we're able to negate the Secretarion. So again, it wasn't really that big of a deal. And I do think it's really interesting. The Urgula or Star Source Dragon popping a back row card being a really good disruption, as popping back row is generally not good, as Draco Tail plays effectively against a Droll, but now plays into effects that pop back row. As the Flame negates the Brand of Fusion, our other Brand of Fusion, of course, is no good. If they send 2 monsters to the graveyard at the same time, the Gulanel will be reborning. To battle phase, 5k to the face. We're going to be searching for a dragon in the end phase. Ooh, we're going to trigger the Gulanel as we have the Hieratic Seal to return an opposing monster back to the hand. Come forth, Gulanel. And what I'm really liking about Draco Tail so far is so many duels are decided on the opening hands. You know it, I know it. We look at the opening hands and it's boring. It's okay. Player A automatically wins. You don't even have to watch. I feel like the duels are more up in the air than I have ever seen in a long time. Even right now, who's gonna win and why? I don't know. Like, we have Veilers and Ghost Spell and a Hieratic Seal, but we have a branded freaking Fusion. Like, this really is anyone's duel. And it's on turn 4. How do we not know who's gonna win by turn 4? We're gonna Hieratic Seal, get you out of here. Hieratic Seal, some for the deck, the Malulu. Now we have a Malulu Fusion play plus 3 other hand traps. The Urgula could also pop a back row, but we have a branded freaking Fusion. Branded Fusion. Malulu Chain. Malulu's gonna negate on the higher chain link whatever we fuse into. But who cares about the Fusion? The Fusion's gonna trigger a Draco Tail and Graveyard to give us a follow-up play. We're gonna send a Pan. Pan's gonna destroy your monster and set a follow-up. Holy moly. Our Thalion's gonna target engrave our Femina, and we also use the Urgula trigger. No? How did the Urgula get sent to the grave? The Urgula was sent to the grave for Malulu, and Urgula were sent. So we activate target. Why did Urgula not activate to set a card onto the field? Am I misunderstanding something? What happened? What? Because Urgula should be popping the back row card we're setting right now. I don't understand what freaking happened. Malulu, fuse with an Urgula and a Veiler. So then we activate our Thalion to target 2 cards because 2 cards in the hand were used. We only activated Malulu in the graveyard, and then Malulu would have been at least setting another card. Okay, Femina. Okay, I understand now. He wanted to save it. He wanted to save the Urgula on a later chain to ensure that it actually destroys a card. Okay. Even though it, we are the higher chain link and the turn player's the lower chain link, so they set the cards on the lower chain link. We pop on the higher, but there's nothing to pop because we're the higher chain link. Makes sense. All right, so Yusuf is playing this correctly. And I think that's a new, again, with Draco Tail being a skillful deck, that's a nuanced decision that a skillful player would make, where the non-skilled players, they're gonna click yes, 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 yes to all their trigger effects, but actually passing on a trigger to then add it back to then trigger it later to then pop a back row card that would have been the follow-up play, that was the way. And that's why I'm so far loving this meta. Even though this seemingly is the only viable deck, that's the one real downside. The 2 downsides are, this is the best deck and no other deck can really compete is what it looks like. And the other downside is they're potentially floodgating all non-Draco Tail players. Otherwise, I'm loving this. Let's Malulu. Chain Foolos to the effect to Fusion Summon. So we want to throw out baits and then we'll follow up with the Branded Fusion. Using up with the Urgula and the Malulu. Let's add from the graveyard, Malulu and Urgula. We're also going to be Droll and Lockbirding ourselves so that we could Branded Fusion. Rahu does not search, it just fuses with the deck, and all of our triggers will set into the back row. Gulamel is here. So we have another deck that can effectively Droll itself. And we're not done, we still got that Branded Fusion. Send to summon Albion Sanctifier Dragon. Frixel's going to be setting another card. We got the Sting, the Horn, the Flame. Urgula's going to add back the Femina. And this was all under the effect of Droll turning off the Fool Lost. That is crazy good. Now we could pop a card, return a monster back, we could banish from the grave, we could negate a spell, we could fusion summon, we could Nibiru, we could Albaz, we could then whatever we Albaz into, about 8 disruptions. I mean, that is a lot. I'm gonna fool you again in the draw phase before you could chain a Femina. We got the Malulu activating right away. Femina is gonna fusion summon. Now, I've been talking a lot about how great Malulu is. Malulu, when it's your turn, is not as good because the negate is going to be on the lower chain link. Everything the opponent does will be on a higher chain link on the field in response to the Malulu. So the Malulu just has to try to negate a really good continuous effect. Otherwise, it's not going to be good. Now, a really good effect that's already just on the field would be the Sanctifier. So it does force out the Sanctifier to fire off its effect early. But if you fire it off early, it does stop the Albaz. So, you know, in a way, I almost take that back, that against a Sanctifier, Malulu is the best counter to it. Ghoulmel's gonna pop it. And the Ghoulmel actually just stops it from stopping us because now you can't get the effect to negate the Sanctifier nor negate my Albaz as we force you to fuse the hand. Unless you have another Malulu. And he has another Malulu. You know, I'm like... My brain is just really firing off on so much of the smaller details of these matchups that this is why I'm really liking this. What I'm not liking is the Secretarion now floodgating, but it's been proving to be manageable as we could even Malulu it right now if we want to, which we're going to choose to negate the Sanctifier or the Secretarion. We do negate the Secretarion, so we can activate our special summon, Spellcaster, or Dragons. We now have Sanctifier in response to the Rahu. Whatever we fusion summon into, the Albaz will be the higher chain link to fuse with it. So this Arthalion possibly doesn't even activate if I go right into a Mirror Jade. Is that the case? Or correction, this is the higher chain link. Oh, okay, so I just got mixed up. This will be on the lower chain link. This will be on the higher chain link. It does activate, of course. We weren't fusing in response to the Albaz already activating. We now have Horn returning you back, as we also have Sting banishing cards from the graveyard, getting rid of the Urgula, so the Urgula cannot add back a Spellcaster, and we're going to draw 2. And then it was also a choice from Yusuf to even summon this in attack position to play into a Horn. But then, you know, the Horn could have also returned something else back. All right, set the flame, popping our flame with the Urgula, add back the Malulu. He already used up the normal summon. We passed on the Albaz, discarding to fuse. We have the Key2 attempting to add and then fuse. We are going to Ash, negate you. And even after all these plays, the Nibiru is still not even activatable. Okay, Sanctifier has been fired off. We just have Flame. In hand, we have Trash. We only have a spell negate. That's it, mate. And here's what's crazy about Malulu. It's a forever negate. You don't have to deal with the Secretarion while it's negated because then it becomes non-negated. Nope, forever negated. Let's link off into the Hieratic Seal. This is where the fusions in grave could trigger, or if there are any. We're now Cartesia, which someone said people are not playing Cartesia. At least he's playing it. Now, Cartesia, ideally, there's an Albaz in your graveyard. Otherwise, it's a normal summon. We don't want to normal summon Cartesia over a Lucius or a Malulu. We got Malulu activating to fusion summon. And so this is interesting. Thank you, Konami, for having a semblance of a brain, because what could be happening here is this could be floodgating the opponent. I don't know if Kawaki thinks that's what he's doing, but it's only while you control this fusion summon card. We're reborning it. So it's not going to floodgate. It's just going to be a body on the field. Okay. He had to think it was floodgating, right? Let's go into Arthalion. Arthalion is activatable, obviously, because this is not fusion summoned. We got the Goulamel triggering Grave to Reborn, the Malulu to negate a card in the field. Our own Goulamel will be the higher chain link to summon, so it can be negated by the Malulu so that it forever cannot chain to your own Draco Tail to pop a card in the field. We are going to return back their Arthalion. Then we're going to trigger the Heavenly Sphere to summon from the deck a dragon, which could be our own Malulu, to then make a fusion summon play during their turn. Yes, it is. Like, how are you not loving that? That's crazy. So much is happening. Arthalion off of a Heavenly Sphere. We have the Pan and Graveyard triggering to destroy a monster on the field and set. The Malulu can also negate if there's something worth negating. We negated a Fool Loss. We also banished the Gulamel because it was reborn from the grave. We added back an Ash Blossom. Keats, we added that back. We added that back. We just added that back. This Ash came from a Heavenly Sphere. Like, how does that happen? Like, the Heavenly Sphere, through multiple other plays, gave us back an Ash Blossom to then negate a Key to, and he still has a Branded Fusion. Let's freaking go. Branded Fusion into Albion Branded. We could trigger the Frixel. We have the Albion further triggering. We cannot go into the Lubellion since we don't have a card to discard at the moment. So we will instead be going for our own Secretarion Dragon. Secretarion Dragon's going to reborn a monster from the graveyard. We're going to reborn the Lucius, returning the Albaz back. Lucius will be searching for a Pan. These duels are honestly exhausting, but in a good way. Let's Rahu, Dracotail, Fusion Summon. My wish for Yu-Gi-Oh! Is that every other deck would be brought up to this level. I don't want a deck like this to, be gone. If this was the new way to play Yu-Gi-Oh! And every other decks were like this is good. This is a lot of interaction, a lot of nuance, a lot of ruling heavy scenarios here. And then we have a Nibiru on top of all this. Wipe away the entire field. Let's go. And it's very quick turn ones. You're not sitting there forever. So much back and forth. Absolutely sick to death of Malice goes first, and then even in the mirror match, you can't do anything. You barely, just don't even want to make a play. You just surrender. This has not happened yet. No one has just straight up surrendered with no chance to a turn one Dracotail field. They at least try to play it out. We got to follow the interactions. We got to go back and forth. Magma had activated to search for a dragon in the end phase. We can return back the Arthalion in grave. And if you further need the question answered of why do you need 3 Arthalion, they're returning, they're playing more than 3 Arthalion if they're returning it back into the extra deck. You have to summon this card every single freaking turn. Let's Arthalion reborn back as we are targeting 2 cards in field to return back to the hand. Returning back a Nibiru while we have a 16,000 attack Nibiru. Oh my Jesus. Did Yusuf win going second for both duels? What's up with that? That's freaking crazy. Let's go. Set key 2, activate key 2. We're gonna grab a Malulu. We're gonna activate the Rahu Dracotail. Ash is going to negate as we chain the Malulu to the Ash Blossom mate. Now, we did have an opportunity to fuse with our Malulu to then negate the Arthorlius. Or Arthalion, I'm making up names now. Arthalion. But we chose to not do that. Because we would be the higher chain link on Malulu to negate the Arthalion. We would not be able to add back engrave the Femina. Femina, Malulu, setting from the deck. We have our Flame, and we have our Horn. And we're just gonna be ready, possibly at the end of the main phase to activate. So it looks like end of the main phase, let's activate Arthalion. And just like that, mate, let's return back the Ash to negate one of the traps or negate a Max C. So now we have to think ourselves. Should I try to bait the Ash and then activate Max C? That's what would be the ideal, right? As we're negating Arthalion, that does not matter. We're gonna set up our own Sting. Let's return back the Ash. And we now have a follow-up play. Very good. It's gonna be very interesting. Ash can negate the traps or the Max C. In addition to that, we just have the traps that can return a monster back, negate a spell. We can negate with Veiler. We could fuse to recycle back the Veiler, which is another disruption. I have to account for returning back Veiler to use it as a disruption. And we could also return cards back or destroy with whatever we fuse into. So that's about 5 disruption. Key 2, Dracotail. We're going to activate the Horn to return back the Arthalion. I talked about this nuanced interaction. This is what I've been doing in the TCG simulators. The key to fusion summons if the opponent controls a monster. No, you don't, because I don't control a monster. I don't see a monster, and I'm going to draw. This can be considered quite risky. The Femina was bricked until we drew another Femina. Now we're down to 4. Lucius is going to be negated by the Veiler. And we know he has Ash. So what would you do? Do you value the Flame not being negated by Ash, or do you value your Max C not getting negated by the Ash? We have to throw up one over the other. Because that Ash is coming. And a freaking Conda. You will, mate. We're going to Femina right here, right now. We can't even afford to use the Max C. Come forth, Arthalion. And if we use the Max C early, it would have been negated potentially, and then the Femina would be bricked. We are going to be targeting the Anaconda. Return that fool back. As we're going to Femina, set a key to. It is during the opponent's turn, so that key 2 is waiting for the next turn to even be used. We also return back that Max C, so it's still on the table to Flame or Max C. We're going to Flame it. He knows he has Max C, but I'm still going to negate the Flame, and then of course he's going to chain the Max C. Max it up as we negate the Flame. Flame will not be drawing a card, it will not be negating. Now, let's Urgula. Urgula is going to pop your follow-up key 2. I'm not letting you search your deck and then fuse. We're going to wipe it away, and the Gulamel is going to also take out the Arthalion on field. It's still main phase 1. We do have the attack. Lethal damage is not off the table. And all within the same turn of we made a freaking Anaconda. What is going on this turn? Urgula, add back the Femina. And just like that, not enough for a lethal play, but Lucas is out of resources. I know this is a big ask, but can someone, at least maybe when we upload these videos on YouTube, in the Draco Tail mirror matches, who's winning more often? Is it the turn 2 player or the turn 1 player? Could someone count that up? Because I don't want to definitively say this, but it looks like turn 2 is winning more than turn 1. Branded Fusion into the Flame. Negate. Into game 2 we go. Is it just the more skilled player or what? I don't know. Let's start this off with the key 2 Draco Tail, grabbing our Lucius. Lucius is here. We're holding the Ash. I'm not ashing the key 2. I'm not ashing the Lucius. Come forth, Arthalion. Arthalion is here. We're going to return 2 cards engraved back to the hand. Urgula is going to set a card from the deck. We already have the Rahu in hand, thus we set the Flame. So this is a good tell for Earl GB that dude's got Rahu in hand. There's no way he doesn't. I feel like I've not seen this all day. I actually have seen it more, right? There we go. We do have the Spirit of Blue going into the Heavenly Sphere because we turned the Spellcaster into the Dragon. We held onto the Ash Blossom to negate the Rahu when we had so many other plays to negate that we chose to not do, which I agree with not negating. Negating a search, in most cases, it's weak. Now, what do we have here? Heavenly Sphere, return a card back. And then it could summon a Malulu or an Albaz, which could go into a fusion play. The fusion play with Malulu will go into the ability to return cards back or pop with the Gulamel. We can negate a spell with the Flame. We could Ghost Spell, negate an interaction with the Graveyard. I would say about 4 disruptions. Rahu. Pan with the non-target destruction. So we're in a way forced to use the Heavenly Sphere, and whatever we summon will not be destroyed. It'll be activated on a separate chain link to summon it. This is it. We're firing off the Heavenly Sphere. Heavenly Sphere, return the Arthalion, set up the key 2. We don't have an Urgula play to trigger, but the Femina could summon a Star Source, and Star Source can destroy the key 2 Draco Tail. I'm not saying that's the ideal play, but there are just a lot of possibilities. We didn't go into Malulu. We summoned the Urgula so we could pop that back row card. Let's freaking go. Better than a Star Source. Just summon the Urgula to then go into a regular Draco Tail fusion play. I love it. I don't think we've seen a Heavenly Sphere summon an Urgula from the deck the entire day today. So the fact that we're still seeing newer plays is a really good thing to see. Take out the key to set up our own Rahu, also take out their Flame. Flame be gone, and we have 2 follow-up cards here. What is going on? The turn 2 player is dominating again. It's, wait, no, this is the turn 1 player. Okay, I got mixed up. My brain is mush. Okay, turn 1 is dominating. Earl GB is in big trouble. Yeah, Earl is getting clapped. Urgula is going to attempt to add back. We're going to Horn, Chainlink block the Gula Mel. We're going to use Ash to negate the Horn, returning back to then draw a card. Earl 1 going second, game 1, and Lucas looks like he's dominating going first for game 2. We have the Draco Tail, Rahu getting negated by the Ash. Negate. And since you have a body on the field that we stopped you from returning back, we now get to make use of the Kitu, which will fuse after adding thanks to your body on fields. 1 and 1. So turn 2, 1, turn 1, 1, and now Earl GB is going to go first. Let's go. Rahu, Draco Tail, Ash, negate. We got the finger mate, but everyone's on Ghost Spell, and where is Belle when we needed her most? Nowhere to be seen. Negate and finger the Bell mate. Now let's fully resolve it. We still have Valor. Valor negates the Arthalion if we want to, as they're attempting to return a card engraved back to the hand. We have the Urgula and the Lucius. We're going to be setting 2 cards in the deck. This is not really a high priority Valor, I'd say here. If you negate them from adding back, the Urgula could add back anyway. As we now have the key to Draco Tail ready, grab back the Lucius, normal summon. We're going to Valor negate you, but then the key to could add whatever we were going to add. You know, it's like, I guess we're just Valoring because we can. Valor did not have any effect here. We have the Femina, which, you know, you could theoretically say that they maybe would not have had another Draco Tail in hand to fuse with because of the Valor on the Lucius, and then we'd be wondering why he didn't Valor. So it was lucky that Earl did have that Pan. And now we have the Secretarion Dragon to reborn a monster from Engrave. Pan is on the field, so we're gonna get that non-target monster destroy effect. Destroy a monster, fuse disruption, negate a spell, banish from the grave, return a monster back, floodgated with the Secretarion, 6 disruption. Branded fusion. Earl does not negate branded fusion because he has Secretarion. Okay, yeah, why? Oh, but what about Malulu negating it? So what? You still can't summon Lubellion. So I don't know if your mind, you maybe thought that, okay, I summon Lubellion, and then on Lubellion, the lower chain link, I activate it so it's not negated because I put Malulu on the higher to negate the card that's negating me, but it's not negating you, it's preventing you from even activating. Let's now activate Femina to Femina. Holy Femina. We're gonna be Feminaing like crazy. Ooh! Have not seen this today. First time being summoned today. After what, 100 Draco Tail matches? What? For the first time being summoned in a duel today, both players summon their Filia Regis. Now, this in graveyard states at the start of your opponent's battle phase, if this card's in the graveyard because it was destroyed by Pan, and both of us have activated Pan, you can return a dragon you control to the hand to then special summon this card. Pan versus Pan. This is like an anime battle fight. They're just like matching punches. What the heck is going on? Let's banish away, banish you, get rid of you, banish the back row, return you back in the extra deck you go. Oh my Jesus. As we now set up our key to Draco Tail and the Filius Regis on field gets destroyed, Pan will trigger to reborn back because a fusion monster was destroyed by the opponent's card effect, reborning back the Femina. We're gonna use Horn to return the Femina back to the hand. Haven't seen that today. Pan reborn Femina, Horn return Femina back to the hand to then draw. Like new achievement unlocked again. Lucius, add back Femina, set Flame and pass. So many different plays to do with the deck. Let's Key 2. Flame, negate the Key 2, of course. Now our Femina, it's trash. She does nothing. We're gonna have to draw a card to make her do something. She's still trash. We needed to draw a monster. Because we didn't draw a monster, Lucas is now done. There we go. We got to the moment where if this were to have been, and we're filled to the brim with hand traps that are monsters, of course the Draco Tails themselves, and then we could have had a play. Earl knows that Femina's in their hand, and Earl's like, wow, their field's not lighting up at all. We're in the clear. He had to have drawn a non-monster here. And this is it. Earl, with this great opportunity, has to press his advantage. Take out the Lucius and reborn the Arthalion. With that, it's not enough. We're gonna sting the graveyard, draw into a card, return back, drawing into an Albaz, and now we could fuse with the Albaz in hand. We needed a monster, as we now have the Secretarion, and just like that, we now have enough confirmed lethal damage, and it all came down to unluckily drawing a non-monster. If we were to look at the makeup of the deck, I don't know how many non-monsters he even has to draw, but that had to be really unlucky. I know it's definitely not a coin flip there. Begin. First effect are firing off, going right into the Branded Fusion. We're going to trigger the Frixel in Graveyard. No other Draco Tail could have been sent here to summon the Sanctifier and also get a card in the back row for a follow-up. Key 2 searching for the Lucius. Lucius on summon. We're holding on to that Veiler, very likely for the Arthalion. Draco Tail Rahu is going to use just one card in the hand for the Gulamel. We're still not going into Arthalion, as we are Gula and Malulu triggered to set cards in the backer. We got the Flame to negate their Branded Fusion. We're going to Gula, add back the Frixel, as we're now we're just holding Femina. We're going to hold it. Wow. Veiler held on to, Femina held on to. Now our disruptions are going to be pop a monster, whatever we fuse into will be a disruption. We'll Ash interaction with the deck negate. We could reborn the Albaz to fuse their field into a fusion disruption. We could Flame negate a spell. We could Horn return a monster back. 7 disruptions. Let's go. Even with Flame and Ash, it's still scary because they have 3 good cards to stop. Their 3 good cards are Rahu, Key 2 if there's a body on the field. Key 2 without a body in the field, I wouldn't Ash it, but this is a good Ash. And then the Branded Fusion. The Branded Fusion is just going to randomly be in the hand. It's a sack card, but we're ready for it. Or are we? Well, the Ghost Spell can negate the Flame. So all we have is Ash to stop the Branded Fusion or the Key 2 or the Rahu. Oh boy. Branded Fusion. We're going to chain Femina. Now, this does not mean we're not trying to negate this. We could still be trying to negate it with the Flame. The Flame does not have to be the direct chain link. Why reveal your hand early? Just wait. Or I thought we were going to wait. Nope. Okay. We're just not. We're just letting that Branded Fusion go through because, again, the Secretarion. For both players, Secretarion's been the way to tank a Branded Fusion. Not even a problem. Whatever you summon cannot activate. So we summon a Lubellion with no activation, as we have the Malulu to non-target negate a card in the field. Malulu is going to negate the Sanctifier, and even if you were to summon an Albion, or an Albaz that is, the Albaz would then be negated by the Malulu. Pan is going to destroy the Lubellion. Malulu is going to set and then negate the Sanctifier, or the Gumel, or, I mean, all 3 cards were good to negate. We don't want him to reborn Albaz. We don't want him to turn off our effects in the field. We don't want him to pop a card in the field. Gulamel is probably the lowest priority here. As we're going to Horn return back the Secretarion to draw into a Max C. Draco Tail Flame. Attempt to negate the Rahu, and we had that Ghost Bell ready. We're going to chain Max C. Fine. If I can't negate thee, and here's the thing though. Flame is not safe. It's not a safe negate. If you really want to negate, you have to use Ash instead. So if we were okay with this maybe resolving, that's the only reason why we would use Flame instead. Now, Ash can be negated through a finger or a cross out, but it is much less likely. Let's Draco Tail Arthalion is here. We're going to return the Albaz Engrave back to the hand, which is interesting because we have not normal summoned yet. And we also have Kitu. So we're maybe going to normal summon Albaz to try to fuse with their fields. While the Sanctifier can't be targeted, it is still fusible. Oh, it actually can't be fused with an Albaz because it also can't be used as a fusion material. We're going to be setting up the Pan. Pan is going to non-target, destroy the Sanctifier without targeting, of course, as we add back the Albaz. Pan is going to be triggering. Also, Gulamel. Since you couldn't Chain Link block this, we get to pop 2 cards in the field. Take out the Flame. Take out the Arthalion. Or, no, that was the other effect of Pan. Pan reborning back the Malulu to then fusion summon. Now, we have Arthalion of our own. Arthalion's going to return. 1 card in the field to engrave back. Malulu is going to be setting. Frixel is also going to be setting. Now, the Malulu can negate, but negating the Arthalion here is not a big deal. Set it. Set it. We got 2 Kitus, just in case. If you pop one, I have another. They mean it to the hand. As we now have the Kitu, we do have the Ash Blossom to negate. It has the additional effect. It's not just searching, it's also fusion summoning. Negate. My voice is dying today. There's too much to commentate. There's too much back and forth. Albaz that we added back from the grave to normal summon a discard to fuse into the Secretarion. And we're drawing for the Maxi that we freaking randomly drew into. We're reborning the Frixel. Frixel's gonna further reborn the Malulu. We're returning back the Frixel. We don't care that he's continually drawing. We're now gonna fuse with the Frixel. How could TCG track all of these effects that already activated? Did you already fuse with that? I don't know, bro. Yeah, bro, time is like in 1 minute. We're gonna get a double loss. Let's take out both cards. 3K to the face. You have to like notepad with this deck to track all the hard ones per turns because you're just returning them back, refusing with them. Femina, activate, fuse with the handmate into our own Secretarion in defense so the Horn can't return it back. Oh my Jesus. Lucius and Urgula. Urgula is gonna non-target pop the back row card Horn. You have to Horn now, and you didn't. So say goodbye to your Horn, which you would have to want to return your own card back, or he timed out. That looked like a timeout, right? I guess the surrender and the timeout are the same exact of your field destroying, but we had Horn, then Chain, but really it's a lot of effort for a duel that, I mean, bro's got 5 cards in the back row, 4 cards in the hand. I like that this is a battle of the resources, but I don't like that Maxi exists. Maxi made this unfair, but otherwise, without Maxi, whoever has the most cards on field or in hand and the smartest way to get to that is, I think, a good thing. Let's hop into game 2. Good job, Earl GB. Femina is going to be our first effect we're firing off, and it's been rare. Maybe it's been the first time today. The Draco Tail turn 2 player has 0 hand traps. How is that possible? Nothing activatable. A deck encouraged to play more hand traps than normal. Has an additional 3 Femina to even hand trap on top of their hand traps. Nothing at all. I actually get to have a break. No way. All right, I'm gonna chill for this. But I don't have a break because Draco Tail has quick turn 1s. So I still lose. All right, we have Gulamel, pop a card in the field, Flame, negate a spell. We could fuse to then disrupt. We could Ash, we could Veiler. We have Maxi on top of that, which I'm not counting as a disruption. We have 5 disruption. Let's go. Chain, activate the Brain Fusion. We're going to chain the Ash Blossom. We have called by the freaking grave to finger the Ash negate. I could use the Flame to negate the called by. Negate. Cosmos, the gifted subs. I appreciate that immensely. Thank you very much for the 5 gifted big ones. Loving it, my friend. Appreciate you big time. Double negate. And now we have the Rahu Draco Tail chain the Max freaking C. It is, I think, disgusting that, you know, I see a Veiler and also I see the Gulamel, and I'm just thinking this Femina could summon a Secretarion whenever he wants to then turn off whatever he would summon. But then, while whatever he summons will not be activatable, you're then giving them the opportunity to, with precision, send a Malulu or a Pan to then get rid of the Secretarion early. So the question is it good to summon Secretarion early to stop an effect that's about to be summoned, or is the player that summons Secretarion at the latest possible time maybe, in fact, the better time to get your Floodgate out? We're going to send the Pan and the Feymina to go into the Gulamel. Feymina and Pan trigger. We're going to non-target destroy a monster and set 2 cards in the deck as we also, with precision, destroy what we want. Veiler is going to say no. I prefer to keep my Gulamel on field, even though it has the effect to reborn if you were to perform another fusion play within the same turn. Was that Veiler worth it for that reason? Because, and then it gets destroyed anyway, but it will now come back. But we don't have both our monsters destroyed. So to ensure that we'd have at least one body on field, maybe that's why the Veiler was worth it. Summon Malulu, then pass. We could use the Malulu as a quick effect during the opponent's main phase. We have Malulu, which will then be able to negate cards in the field. In response to a card that's going to result in a trigger on a new chain link, we'll negate that card as the higher chain link. Get Urgula, destroy a Rahu or a Kidu, then get set from the deck into the back row. Whatever we fuse into is going to be a disruption. We have the Gulamel pop a card. We have the Flame, which will negate a spell. 5 disruption. Let's see. Now, ideally, the Cartesia can see that there's an Albaz engraved to special summon for free. Otherwise, we don't really want to normal summon this unless we don't have a Malulu or a Lucius or a way to get into one. And how can we activate Malulu? This would be illegal. The opponent has to give you permission. Yusuf is saying, I end the main phase. That's why he was entering the battle phase. Otherwise, you cannot legally activate this before the opponent does something in main phase 1. Gulamel chaining to the Malulu to take out the Arthalion as we now Malulu fuse it up into the Urgula, which will now not be able to pop a back row unless we hold off on the Urgula trigger, thinking that we could trigger it in another way. Gulamel and Arthalion in the graveyard is going to trigger because 2 monsters sent to the grave at the same time. We're going to Arthalion, not return back your monster, but we're going to return our Feymina back. We are going to trigger the Urgula early to send to the back rows. The Malulu will also be triggering. What is unfortunate is, it's fortunate and unfortunate. It is usually a better idea to be the non-turn player with an effect like Malulu to negate something that comes out. But in this case, now the Gulamel's not going to be negated because it's on the lower chain link being the turn player here. Reborn out. So it wasn't even there to negate, but we still wanted to set from the deck. So we lost out on our negate. We lost out on our Urgula pop the back row. This was a normal summoned Cartesia to fuse with the hand, Feymina and the Fualos. Let's Feymina it up. And it's also just insane that your dead Fualos, you're happily fusing with it. It's fuel for your fusions. Secretarion is finally here. As we send to the back row, the Kitu, which we would want to pop with the Urgula. Arthalion's going to add back Maxi because that's totally balanced, right? Let's recycle Maxi, recycle Ash Blossom. Dracotail Flame is going to negate the Kitu. Now, there's no finger on the Ash, and I didn't use Ash yet, so I just negate your Flame. Negate it, Bell it, or Ash it, whatever we have, negate it. And while you have a monster on the field, the Kitu will now optionally allow us to fusion summon with whatever we add. We're going to take that, of course. Summon our own Secretarion, trigger the Pan to destroy your Secretarion, but then your Arthalion's going to trigger Engrave to Reborn, but then I'm going to Maxi to draw off of your Reborn from the grave. Okay. Now, the Sting is not activatable if you're keeping track here. Come forth, back out onto the field. And we drew into a Rahu, and if you've been keeping track, we have not activated that Rahu yet. There we go, off the top of the deck. Double Rahu, why not? Let's go into an Anaconda. Let's go. Now, this is what you want to do if you're playing Anaconda and you want to summon it. You have to Anaconda first, then Rahu. There's 2 cards that lock you out of Link summoning. Well, there's 3. Branded Fusion, one of them, but that goes without saying. But it's the Rahu and the Malulu. As long as we don't Malulu on-field fuse or Rahu fuse, we have to summon this first, and then we activate them. Let's destroy the Arthalion, which will get banished because it was reborn from the grave, as we now go into our Arthalion. Arthalion already activated this turn. Urgula is going to activate to destroy back row card. We have Gulamel in grave, reborning itself back onto the field. The Malulu already activated. Earl, I think, is done. Finally. Earl, no more from you. There's nothing else he can activate whatsoever. He's done. And it's main phase 1. And Anaconda hasn't activated yet. That's it. Checkmate. Reborn Arthalion with the Secretarion. And destroy, return back the Femina. Now we finally Anaconda. We can't special summon for the rest of the turn. Straight into the Mirror Jade. Non-target monster banishes here. Holy moly. 14,000 plus damage. Let's banish away the Malulu. Lethal damage. A well-fought, well-earned victory for Yusuf. These are not easy duels. This, I'd say a lot are going into these duels. Oh my Jesus. You don't really get free wins with this deck, at least not in the mirror match. Key 2, come to me, Femina. We're going to Femina, use up with our hand the Fluid Loss and the Pan into our Arthalion. We're going to return 2 cards engraved back as we set 1 card from the deck, the Rahu Dracotail. Add back the Pan and Femina. Let's Rahu send from the deck Urgula and the Femina. Let's now trigger both to have the Horn and our Flame play. As we're going to add back Femina first, of course, before ending. Now our disruptions are going to be the ability to pop a card, return a monster back, negate a spell, fusion summon into a disruption. We have Magnum Hut to banish from the graveyard. Let's go. Branded Fusion. Did not flame Branded Fusion. Things are getting wild here. And earlier, Earl would summon a Secretarion Dragon in response, and that's why I believed he wasn't flaming. But no, Earl's just like, I'm not flaming it. Even without Secretarion, I allow it to go through. As we Malulu and trigger the Lubellion. Malulu with the non-target negates. We're going to be using the Bestial to banish away the Malulu. Horn is going to return Lubellion, which we summoned in attack position on purpose, right, Yusuf? We wanted to give them the opportunity to return this back if they wanted to. Be gone. Oh my gosh, bro, really? You just randomly going to draw into a max C just like that? Yes? Didn't you do that last duel? Star Source is here. Star Source on summon is going to get poppin'. We're negating the Gulamel field so it can't get poppin' as we take out the opposing flame. We didn't use the flame and now the flame is going to get destroyed. We're going to chain our own max C. Magnum Hut searching for a dragon in the end phase from the grave or from the deck will be added back. Femina is now going to fuse. Let's fuse it up into our own Star Source. You know, a lot of you are not thinking about Star Source, but you should, because popping that back row before the Rahu activates, it's a big deal. Pan's going to take out the Star Source, and the Star Source is going to take out the Rahu. And it only really needs to destroy once. It doesn't have to destroy 2 cards to be worth summoning. Goodbye to the Star Source. And now they have the key to, because we have a body in the field, they can add, they can fuse into the Secretarion. Now, this is where I tell you that Earl has no play. He's done. That's it. No more activations. He has a max C though, so it's not over. He could draw into a play. He has already activated Femina though. Drawing into that is not a play. He has to draw into a good hand trap. Oh boy. Off the top of the deck, Lucius, that ain't it. Return back the Gulamel with the Arthalion. Our own Arthalion's going to reborn from a grave. That's not going to be a play. It's just going to be a body to try to block lethal damage. That's it. Can Yusuf win the duel right here, right now? We had a dead Triple Tactics talent. What the heck? Let's see. Destroy the key to, return back the Gulamel, normal summon the Frixel to reborn back the Pan. Returning back the Frixel, we now have a Branded Fusion. We're not doing all this special summoning unless we have lethal damage, right? That's what I'm thinking. That key 2 in the back row has already been activated. We already normal summoned. The flame in the back row is dead. I'm just trying to count up anything that can be activatable whatsoever here. 11,000 damage. Why are they so big? Pan and Arugula is huge. Arugula in Pan is 5,000 damage plus. What the heck? Wow. Lethal through a maxi that we top decked off of our Draco Tail trap. Okay, good job. Yusuf to the finals. A deck where its core mechanic is to set from the deck, I would think does not care about Droll. Let's find out. Now, hold up. We don't just have Droll. We have Femina. And we actually have to make a choice. If Droll sucks, then don't use Droll. Use Droll for a fusion summon. And this is why we have to have so many monsters in the hand, because now we're in a situation where we can't even use the Droll unless we summon an Arthalion to then return the Droll back to the hand to then use the Droll. I don't think we value the Droll to be that good, though. Lucius will be our normal summon to grab the Malulu. Let's hit him with the Droll. Gargolo, you now can't Femina. I hope it was worth it. Let's see what Ricky could do. Because Ricky, you could argue, tricked you into drawing. I got you exactly where I want you. That's it. Your field was lighting up on the summon of Lucius. You then drolled on the resolution of my Lucius. So that means you had to have had an activatable Femina that's no longer activatable because you used your droll. Is Ricky Gigabrain thinking this or what? Let's now go into the Gulamel. Can't add from the deck. We have not branded fusion yet. Set up the horn, set up the sting. We have all 3 traps. Draw 3, banish, return a monster back, negate a spell, and we branded fusion. Going right into a Mirror Jade. Oh boy. That was interesting. The Frixel was, it's still in the deck. We just didn't want to use it, sure. And we have a non-target monster banish. We could pop a card in the field. We could banish from the grave. We could return a monster back. We could negate a spell. We could fuse. We could use the Malulu to negate a card on a higher chain link. 7 disruptions here. And we drew into a branded fusion. We're going to need this. So normally I hate that this card exists, but for this instance, if you're going second, I hope you have it. Let's flame it up. We don't have Bell. We don't have Ash to stop the flame. We go from 7 disruption down to 6. We didn't draw another hand trap. Cope that they don't have Ash, and they don't. But whatever we summon is negated by the Malulu. We're Chainlink 1, the Malulu's Chainlink 2 or higher, or they just Secretarion, make it so you can't even activate. What the hell? This keeps happening. It keeps freaking happening. So we're down to 5 disruption. The Malulu is also negating nothing, so we lost out on that. The Gulamel is also going to take out the Lubellion. All right, we have our own Malulu to negate the Secretarion, but it already prevented the Lubellion from even activating. It's insane how commonly Secretarion is being summoned in response to a branded fusion. Like, that's the key play to do. That's exactly what you want to do. Oh, huge fusion. 3 bodies. We're going to return 3 cards on the field or in the grave. Return it. Does, this is always chainlink blocked. You can't bell this, obviously, pretty much ever if they don't want you to bell it. But, I mean, does the value of Valor go up or what? I mean, being able to Valor when they choose to go for a huge fusion summon play like this to return 3 cards back, I would think that Valor just wins the duel right here. And that is if they don't have another card to have it dodge the Valor. Mirror Jade with a non-target monster banish. Sting into the graveyard, banish away the Arugula. Arugula is also triggering to destroy a back row card in the field. Returning back the flame. Now you have Ash. Now you got the Ash as we set flame. Arugula, set up the Sting as we wipe away the horn. Now, we have used Mirror Jade. We have used the Gulamel. We have negated the Secretarion. The Sting is resolving here, right? And then we have the Ash as our only other card that we just draw into. Ash is it, but that was enough. Rintbrum, I was hoping that, because I've seen, In the TCG and the OCG, Anaconda's banned. But I was thinking, because we have Anaconda in Master Duel, that I hope someone puts Rinbrum in, because Anaconda into a Mirror Jade Send Rinbrum, that's triple disruption. That's a banish, that's a fuse, and whatever we fuse into, that is so damn good. And thank you, Ricky, for being one of the few that are actually playing Rinbrum today. Probably the only. As we Albaz to fuse with their field. Oh my Jesus, let's freaking go. Albion branded, Arthalion, I can't even say the names correct at this point. Let's Reborn back. As the Albion branded is going to be fusing at the graveyard into a Star freaking Source. Star Source, pop not one but two. Goodbye to you. And we have Ash for your one sting. Wow. Ricky did one thing, and that was just out-resource the opponent. Be as efficient as possible with all your trades, all your activations, out-resource them, and pretty much I've only been seeing the duels won as soon as they run out. What I want to say is that no one's stealing duels. It's once they're depleted, they're completely out of juice, they just bend the knee, they're done. Key to come to me. As the Lucius and I already went into the details of Konami themselves. They believe through how they've been doing banless hits that Draco Tail's not the best deck among the newer decks, which are Yummy and Vanquish Soul Canine. They have more heavily hit those other decks with the existence of Draco Tail. And we should be getting those decks at full power. Do you think that they're going to pre-hit? I think they'll pre-hit Obedience School, actually. I am suspecting that before Yummy comes out. Which, very next ban list, that may be them telling us that it's coming. Let's trigger all our effects here. You want to get the Anaconda out early before the summon lock. The Rahu is the more popular summon lock. And then once you're done with your other plays, you branded Fusion into the Albion Sanctifier. Brick Soul, set from the deck here. Key 2, we already used it. We have the ability to be able to pop a card, fuse with the Albaz, whatever fuse into it being a disruption, banish from the graveyard. We could negate a spell, return a monster. We could Ghost Spell. We could Femina Fusion. About 8 disruptions. Ash negate the Maxi, which really, even this is not okay. That we get to eat their Ash? They need Ash. They need Ash or Bell to negate the trap. So what the heck? For free on top of your 8 disruptions? Say goodbye to the Ash? Well, at least we have a Bell in the hand. Lucius on summon. Come to us, Femina. Femina initiating that fusion. Let's fuse it up. 1 card from the hand. We have Secretary on Dragon. Malulu's going to negate a card in the field. This is the go-to response. If the opponent has a Sanctifier or a Secretarion, we're going to want to Malulu or Pan to get rid of it or negate it. Now the Sanctifier is negated. So we lose the Sanctifier, which was giving us a double disruption. 2 disruptions gone because we got rid of Sanctifier. Draco Tail Flame negated by the Bell. As we add the Urgula and we get to fuse on resolution because the opponent controls a monster. Arthalion on summon, activating to return 2 cards on the field back. Brixel and Urgula are triggering to pop a card in the field. Arthalion and Grave come forth back. Horn is going to return our own Anaconda to draw into... If we're the GOAT, we'll draw Max C. We've seen it multiple times today. And we're not just drawing once, we're drawing twice. We have 2 chances to just rip a C. Femina is going to fuse with the Ghost Spell, possibly. Or a Dragon and the... Okay, we're using the Ghost Spell on you. Come forth, Arthalion. Sting draws into Max C. Veiler's good. Horn draws into Max C. Ash is good. We didn't even Ash yet. We didn't Ash. We have a Veiler. We got 2 additional hand traps on top of everything else we've been doing, and we ate up their own Ash Blossom. Just wonderful. Let's set up the Sting and return back our monster. The Secretarion is not negated, but now it is. You're not able to reborn a monster back. This is a temporary negate. Negate you, mate. And again, this is all about the battle of resources. Who can out-resource who? We're copying an effect that sends monsters from the deck to the grave. You still can't ash that. Oh, but he's sending by cost. I don't care about that. It's the effect that he's copying that's ashable, but you can't ash it because the effect is to copy an effect, not what that effect is. Let's summon Mirror Jade. Non-target monster vanishes here. Let's cause a replay so we don't have to attack if we don't want to, but we do. We want to, and this is kind of interesting. You have to remember which one was not summoned from the graveyard and make sure you battle into that one so that it gets banished, or the one that was summoned from the grave has to be battled into, and the one that was not summoned from the grave has to be banished by the effect of Mirror Jade. So I don't know if we just got lucky or we remembered or we got to like scroll up the duel log to check that. Lucius off the top of the deck. Don't mind if I do. Femina does not work if we use the Ash on one of these traps. We just can't use it. Gotta fuse with the Ash. Into the Arthalion we go. Into defense to play around the horn. Can't return me back. The Sting can banish the Ash if we want to. The Gulamel is also triggering a reborn as the opposing player Arthalion is also coming back. The Sting's going to target a monster and a spell. No, you don't get Ash back to the hand to then negate one of my other traps. Get the hell out of here. As we draw into our own Femina, reborning back Arthalion. Femina is not activatable. As Gulamel reborns back, Arthalion is resolving, and the Rinbrum. Is this not going to convince anyone not playing Rinbrum to play the Rinbrum? Rinbrum is helping Ricky win duels. It's a big play. It is the way. If you're gonna play Anaconda, put the Rinbrum in with it. Taking out the key to before it's activatable. Damn. Again. Ricky out-resourced Gargolo. Did not steal the duels. We only out-resourced him. What can we top deck into? Typhon play? I mean, come on. We got like... Maybe we should take Typhon out for Rinbrum. Maybe. 2-0. Let's go to the finale. Key to the Lucius, as we're going to normal summon that Lucius. We're going to try to get lucky with the Veiler because we bet our house on the Veiler. That's it. Everything. Our reverse mortgage on Veiler, it's done because we willingly chose for Femina to not be activatable here. That's it. It's done. No Femina. This Veiler ends their turn or we're screwed. We're screwed. Uh-oh. Now we could speed this up since there's no other disruptions. We have Sanctifier here, set up the horn. Rahu fuses the deck using the Ash in hand. Arthorion is going to return one card engraved back to our hand, Ash, as Femina sets up the Sting. End our turn. We did not get to return our Femina back. We prioritized the Ash Blossom instead. We could banish from the grave, negate a spell, return a monster back. We could Ash negate. We can use the Arthorion, I should say the Sanctifier, to use Albaz to fuse and then into a disruption. But then I guess we can't really use the Ash, but we're going to draw into a card, so it will be a play that we could discard with the Albaz. It's about 6 disruption. It's a bit awkward that we don't have the Femina fusion, but knowing the luck of these Draco Tail players, they're just going to draw into the Femina anyway. Or Arthorion to return it back, maybe. Lucius unsummon, grabbing the Argula. Femina is going to be fusing that Argula, and this is where things get chaotic. Oh boy. Got the Floodgate. Special Summon monsters cannot activate. And just like that, Sanctifier, even though it's untargetable, you can't fuse with it, it's stopped. Can't use it. And we summon this in defense, and we can't horn it. What do? And Argula is going to choose whatever he wants to destroy a back row card if we don't flip it up early. Lucius is triggering. I gotta stop to say that I love that this deck has good turn 2 plays. I wish every deck was on this level of having a good turn 1 and good turn 2, and a big way to work towards that is most decks have a card that simply says search, but they went a step forward where they ensured that not only can this search turn 1, but if you happen to be going second, it also has a good turn 2 play if they have a body on the field. Put this on more cards, all of them. I don't care. All the decks should have something like this. Stop giving every deck one turn, one card combos. This is what I want decks to instead have. We have the Argula being banished by the Sting. What? I said he was going to randomly draw into a Femina, and he did. And like, how could I have pre-watched this? I've been casting the tournament all day. He just freaking did it. Okay, Argula set, non-target pop. We're going to take out the Flame. As we now, Rahu Draco Tail. We know they have the Ash, he added it back, negate the Rahu. Now, we're gonna be ready with the Key 2. Key 2 is gonna search, and if we want to, optionally fuse with our hand here. Of course, we're gonna take that option, go into the Gulamel. Now, Secretarion is only stopping the opponent's special summon dragons and spellcasters from activating. Our own are still legal. And this is where Yusuf goes, how did you get access to a Femina? Where did that Femina come from? It's gonna fuse it up. Fusing with the Lucius and the Artholion for our own Secretarion. You floodgate me, I floodgate you. I gotta put it in defense because the Horn is scary. Even though the Horn's not activatable here. Rahu, hard once per turn, used. Key 2, hard once per turn, used. All used up. We're gonna be turning both of our bodies on field into a Little Knight. Little Knight is going to be banishing away the Secretarion, as the Horn is going to return back the Little Knight. Little Knight, why is Little Knight accepting this fate? Because we don't want to temporarily banish the Secretarion to then come back in the end phase. We can't target the Sanctifier. So this is a really smart idea to trick a bad player to temporarily saving the Secretarion to then come back. And whether we wanted to or not, the Sanctifier is back on, back in business. Even within the end phase, we can activate the Sanctifier, that is. And we're doing exactly that. You don't have a light or dark? I'll give you a light and dark because I would love to fuse with it. Let's fuse with that Veiler. As we now go into an Albion branded, the Gulamel's gonna trigger to Reborn as the Albion branded dragon are gonna fuse it up. What are we fusing up into? Well, what do you think? I know that's a Rahu. I know that's a Key 2. I know these are your only 2 disruptions. So I'm going to Icarus attack your back row with the Star Source. Pop the back row. Damn. Damn. In the end phase. Dead back row. Dead Gulamel. Star Source wins this duel. Hands down. Well, I guess we should say Sanctifier won this duel, or okay, Branded Fusion won this duel. Gulamel, wipe it out, and let's clean this up. Very well done. Good job on that end phase. The Secretarion was pinning down the Sanctifier from being activatable, but then we felt forced to make a Little Knight where we would have lost otherwise. Got him. Sanctifier's putting in a lot of work. Lucius on summon, searching for Femina. We got the Fool Loss, which we resolve a good fusion. We set 2 traps in the back row, and okay, you draw 1 from Fool Loss. Who cares? Not a big deal. This deck really does not care. It's crazy that they don't. I'm going to add 2 from the grave, and I'm going to add 2 from the deck into the back row. Yep. And your Droll does nothing, of course. Let's set it up. If Draco Tail's the meta, then we got to stop playing Droll. But if we stop playing Droll, then does Mitsurugi come back out? What's going to happen here? Negate a spell, return a monster. We could fuse to then deal with the monster through whatever fusion. We could Urgula to delete a back row follow-up, but we already have that in the hand, so I'm not going to even count the Urgula here. You know, I'm going to be a bit fluent on how we consider that to be a disruption or not. So we have just about 3 disruption. Lucius searching for the Femina. Femina is going to fuse up with the hand into our Star Source. This is a pop too. Just like that. Can't use the flame. We're going to what? Horn back their Lucius. We're going to horn back our own Lucius. We need that draw 1. And we need it now. We need to draw into a Max C. Ooh, Brand of Fusion. All right. Well, we also lost the flame. We just have Femina. Femina is our only play. Holy moly, Ricky's about to 2-0 this duel. We have Secretarion Dragon here. Whatever Femina fuses into will not be activatable. As it specifically says, it has to summon a dragon or spellcaster, and Secretarion says that will not activate. We're going to set a sting as we Rahu Draco Tail, fuse with the deck and the hand for a Gulamel. We're now going to be triggering the Pan. Chain the Gulamel to wipe away the Arthalion. Why even bother channeling block? And the Pan's going to non-target destroy a monster. We may as well let him use up that non-target monster destroy on nothing. As we have the Urgula to add back the Femina. Now we are going to Femina fuse it up into our own Secretarion, triggering the Lucius and Urgula, plus the Arthalion's going to trigger from us sending 2 monsters to the grave at the same time to reborn back just to stave off lethal damage. We need to survive for our newly drawn Branded Fusion. This is our chance to win it. And boy, do we have a big follow-up ready, also taking out the horn. So what was looking really bad for Yusuf, just waiting, was the play, because I don't know what was going. Ricky looked like he was winning, that this was going to be a 2-0, but then Yusuf out of nowhere has an immense follow-up. He's got the Triforce, he's got the Kitu, the Rahu, the Branded Fusion, and we just got rid of their horn. Oh boy. Sting is going to YOLO draw into a Maxi, also allow the Gulamel to activate to take out the Kitu. Oh no, my Kitu that I already have one in my hand. Wrong one. Now, as we draw in a Max C to give us a chance. No, we got Malulu, which is a disruption with Femina. Fuse with it, it will now negate a monster on the higher chain link. You can use it in response to a Branded Fusion or the Draco Tail. We have Flame to negate, and instead of an Ash or a Bell, we have a Veiler. No negate on the Flame. Branded Fuse it up. This is it. Whether we summon a Secretarion or trigger the Malulu, we're going to stop whatever you fuse into. The Malulu will stop it. Yep. So we're just going to go right into a Sanctifier, since we know that you would stop a Lubellian play or an Albion branded play. But this is permanently negated. It's not like, oh, I'll eat the negate, then use the effect next turn. No, it's done. It's now useless. Negate the Sanctifier as we set up the horn. And, okay, let's now follow up with a Kitu. Wait, I popped your Kitu. Where'd that come from? Add the Pan, fuse it up. We're going to pop a back row, pop a monster, as you also have Arthalion. Arthalion is here. We're going to return back the Secretarion into our extra deck. Let's reuse it. Urgula is going to take out your follow-up card, or just take out the horn instead of the Kitu. The Rahu has already been used. Return back Urgula, reborn, not reborn, but return back the Femina. Are we ready for battle? No, we're not. Albaz on summon. Discard to fuse with your monster into the Mirror Jade. Yusuf is now taking this duel back. A duel that I thought Ricky was going to win is now gone. Wipe away the Star Source with 9,000 damage afterward. Damn. These duels truly have crazy back and forths. Game 3. Game 3. Only Yusuf has it this time. All right, let's go. Yusuf is going second. I mean, Yusuf's got the 2 best cards. Maxi and Branded Fusion. That's it. That's the game-winning play. Is that enough to definitively win? We also have a Fool loss, Magnum Hunt banished from the grave. Let's go. Theoretically, all Ricky has to do is one thing. If Ricky could set a flame, He then negates the Branded Fusion, and it's not even an issue. But Yusuf has to draw into an Ash or a Bell to stop the flame. Or if we could Urgula pop it early, possibly, or force it to activate on something else. There's still a lot that could be happening here. We're going to Lucius add the Malulu. Let's activate the Femina, and this is where we whip out the Fua and Max C. This is the draw 2. We cannot afford to summon beyond this. This is it, but we're going to guarantee get our Flame. The Flame will negate the Branded Fusion. Secretarion's going to floodgate you up. Since you're not going to have time to set up a Horn unless you fuse on my turn with a newly drawn Femina, then it's safe to summon this in attack position. But otherwise, it is a risk. You do have to think about that. What if they could set a Horn? Now, fortunately for Ricky, the Femina is not able to fuse with a Draco Tail plus the Magnum Hunter Max C to then go into that Horn play potentially. We have the Kitu grabbing the Urgula, and that is that. We have 2 great effects to use the Flame on. Lucius and Femina are going to also be great plays. So we essentially have 4 great plays. 4 of, the Kitu, the Kitu, because it can fuse, it does actually do turn into a play. The Secretarion's ensuring that a special summon dragon or a spellcaster is not going to be activatable. This is going to be a big deal. And then we have the Horn to return a monster back, Flame to negate one of the big cards here, as we also have Nibiru to tribute off the field. We could use the Femina, which will be able to use Urgula to pop a set Rahu, and the monster we fuse into will be able to be a disruption, and the Malulu could potentially negate a monster. It's like 5 to 7 disruptions. Let's see. Lucius on summon, grabbing the Urgula. Femina is going to use Urgula to pop the Flame. It's what I said. Get the Urgula, pop the Flame, save your Branded Fusion at all costs. Do not let them negate it. The set Rahu's going to get popped by their Urgula. And we know where the Flame is. The Flame is gone. Well, I know where your Rahu is. I'm going to pop it with my Urgula. And this is where Ricky's like, bro, really? Maxi turn 1, Maxi turn 2, and you fool lost me? Can you chill? Fuse it up into our Gulamel. Draw for that. An already activated Urgula, so not that good of a draw here. As we have the Gulamel to wipe away the Rahu. No Rahu activation. But Ricky don't know that there's a Kitu and a Branded Fusion waiting. Ideally, they have to set it from the deck, and then there's a way to pop it before they even activate it. We do have our Urgula, adding back Femina here to now get ready with the Kitu. Add the Pan, fuse up with the Pan and the Gulamel into our own Secretarion Dragon. The opposing player's Secretarion Dragon is ensuring that we don't want to just summon an Arthalion with a huge hand because it's not going to even be able to activate. Now the Pan will destroy the Secretarion. You destroyed my first Rahu, but now I have a second Rahu. Ricky don't know about that Branded Fusion. We're going to Horn, return back the Secretarion, which, I mean, you did summon in attack position. We draw into a Kitu for a follow-up play, as we now go into Arthalion. Arthalion is here, which is now finally activatable. We also have the Malulu and Femina to set from the deck, as the Arthalion adds back the Femina. Wow. What are we doing here? We're turning on Nibiru. Nibiru is ready to wipe the field. Malulu set up the Horn. We already used up our normal summon. We have the Kitu, which has already been activated. As we reborn back, now we couldn't get them to Nibiru before activating Branded Fusion, or we didn't even think about Branded Fusion being a possibility. Well, now we're going to play right into it. Come forth. The absolute ideal scenario is happening for Ricky. He is overextending into a Mirror Force, overextending into a Torrential, overextending into a Nibiru, wiping away the entire field. Set up a Kitu that's already been activated, fuse to the graveyard into the Star Source. Yusuf thinks he just won the duel. Yusuf thinks he has 10,000 damage plus a full board wipe. Full open field 10k. That's it. Yusuf wins. Congratulations. Nibiru out of nowhere. out of freaking nowhere, wipe up the entire field after clearing up all of his resources. Now, because of Maxi, he gets to draw freaking 2 cards, Ash and a Rahu, and he has a Branded Fusion for the follow-up. Ricky, what can you do here? Now, the best thing is that he does not have a Flame to negate your spells. That's very powerful. But he did randomly draw into an Ash. And then you know the Branded Fusion's coming up next turn if he has another Albaz in the deck. The Albaz is actually banished. So this is probably dead. It may not even be activatable. I would say it's not. Probably not. Ash, negate. Please let that be it, mate. You should have nothing else. Baymina's dead. Straight up dead. 9,300 token. Faymina was dead, but the Urgula, out of freaking nowhere, in grave, was able to add back another monster to turn on that Faymina. What can we do? We can't horn back the Nibiru to stop the fusion. And he gets a normal summon it in search for even more plays. Unfreaking believable. Faymina fusing with the Lucius and the Pan in hand to come forth and summon Arthalion. Arthalion on summon is going to be able to target Engrave the Faymina to return back, trigger the Engrave Gulamel to reborn. Pan's going to destroy the 9,300 defense token as the Lucius also sets an additional card from the deck alongside the Pan as our own Arthalion Engrave reborns back. All we have here, we have a Faymina of our own, and we have a Horn. We have to get rid of that Rahu. What if he sets 2 Rahu? Right? It makes sense. If players are continually setting up an Urgula to pop the Rahu, not if I have 2. It seems silly to overset, but we already used up our key 2, so in this case, it actually would make sense. We set up a Sting instead. So we do have that opportunity to Urgula, wipe out the Rahu before it activates. Will we take that opportunity on the resolution of this ad? First, we're gonna Horn, return back the Gulamel. Is this an oopsie? You have to remember this. If you really wanted to draw, you picked the wrong monster, because if it's reborn from the grave, you don't get to draw. You only draw if it returns to the hand or the extra deck. So we missed out on drawing into a crazy good hand trap potentially, which this Arthorleon I think was from the extra deck. Uh-oh. But if we really want to get rid of the Gulamel, then for that reason alone, sure, that could have been fine. We have our own Urgula activating to pop a back row card, but he has doubled up on the key 2. We did not take the opportunity to fuse the Urgula to take out the 1 of Rahu before he activates it. Goodbye to the key 2. To battle we go. That went to the graveyard. So if we wanted to draw, that was the card we had to return back to the extra deck. Let's Magnum Hut banish with it in the end phase. Say goodbye to the Secretarion. As the Magnum Hut, instead of adding a dragon to the hand, adding a Malulu, we returned back into the extra deck a Star Source. We're planning another double poppage play. It was just a turn ago where Yusuf had an open field with over 10,000 damage attacking for game. In fact, we're going directly into the play just to pop 1, but the Urgula is going to pop another 1. The Urgula did not activate, actually. Urgula didn't activate. Are we out of cards to set from the deck? Yusuf says I have no targets. To have no targets, you'd have to have used up all 3 of your Rahu, all 3 of your key 2, your Sting, your Flame, your Horn, and all 3 of those traps return the other cards back in the deck. So 9 cards we're looking for the Urgula to not be activatable. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Where's the 9th one? What did I miss? What did I miss? He says he's out of targets, so I believe him. Add the Urgula. Fuse on the resolution of adding. Come forth, Arthalion. Yusuf's resources are running low, and the main way to recursion your resources back, get recycling, is through the traps. And if the traps are all gone, we're done. Horn, the Flame, let's see, Horn was sent, not banished, recycled. He says he has no other. I don't think he plays Sting, right? Yusuf, do you play Sting? If you don't play Sting, that's why, right? Let's banish the Magnum Hunt, activate to add a Dragon within the end phase. He doesn't play Sting, so all 8 cards are gone. That is why we correctly counted. Little Knight on Summon's gonna banish away the Urgula in Graveyard. Urgula returns a resource back. This is a resource battle, and Yusuf is out of spell and traps in the deck. We're gonna reborn back the Pan to then add back the Frixel. We're gonna use the Rahu to use the Urgula from the deck and the Frixel to go into an Arthalion. We can't trigger any more of our Draco Tails in Grave. The non-fusions are not triggerable. We can't pop back or we can't pop monster. We can't negate. We have to end the dual mate. Can't attack directly. We Little Knighted. Wasn't enough for game either way. Well, I mean, I guess these 3, if they didn't attack, it would have been game. With double Fool Loss and nothing activatable in Grave, no Urgula. Do you understand that this Rahu should not be activatable? Why? Our own Urgula is supposed to pop it if we had a card in the deck to set, but it's not the fault of Yusuf that he didn't have it. We just didn't. We ran out of juice. If we didn't run out of juice, the Rahu would have been destroyed. This is it. Fuse with the Fool Loss, fuse with the deck into our own Arthorleon. Arthorleon is going to be activating to return back the Femina. As you can see, Ricky's not out of resources. Ricky still can activate the in-grave Draco Tail to set from the deck. Banish away the Arthalion with the effect of the Little Knight, as we now have a Horn. And, I mean, this is the main way you don't run out of resources, because the Horn, the Sting, the Flame, in order to draw a card, you have to return a card from your grave back to the bottom of the deck. And you return the other traps, you return the other spells. So if you focus in the mirror match, if you can get rid of all of their traps without allowing them to recycle them, that's a great way to just win the duel. Straight up, they run out of recycling the traps endlessly, and then you win the grind game. Yusuf can't grind. No Albaz in the deck. No spell and traps in the deck to set with the Draco Tails. We have Frixel, reborn back the Lucius, return back the Magnum Hunt, trigger the Lucius to grab a Femina. He's got 15 cards left in the deck, as we're gonna banish from the opposing graveyard with the Magnum Hunt. As we now Femina fuse it up. Let's fusion summon into our Arthalion. We have 8 cards left on our extra deck still, so this is what the extra deck looks like. As we bounce back the opposing Arthalion, we're gonna Horn, attempt to return back. So this is a good way to cut off Ricky. Ricky really wants to return from Engrave back in the deck. What card do we want to return back? We have to return the Flame or the Sting. By making this Little Knight play, both players are officially out of traps. The traps are gone, they're no longer in circulation, they are fully spent. Well done. I think if we pinpoint a moment where our own trap returned the Gulamel and it didn't get returned to the extra deck, so we weren't able to return a card back to the bottom to then draw, and because it got banished, that was a big reason why we ran out of resources, I think. To battle we go. Anyone's duel here. 300 life points. Normal summon into our own Anaconda with 2,100 life left. We still have an Albaz and a Branded Fusion in the deck on turn freaking 7. Ain't no way. We're dropping ourselves down to 100 life versus 300 life. Neither player has a trap left in their deck. Come forth and summon into a Mirror Jade. Mirror Jade is here. During the end phase, we're going to send a Ricky, you're not going to win with Rinbrum. There's no way Rinbrum's going to win this. Malulu off the top of the deck. We're going to Tribute Summon. We could not turn the Lucius into a Heavenly Sphere because it is a spellcaster here. We had to get 2 dragons to go into the Heavenly Sphere, which triggers the opposing player's Arthalion to reborn back onto the field. Also, we're going to use our Gula to add back the Femina. What could we even fuse into if we wanted to? We have a Philia Regis, we have a Sanctifier, which we can't go into these. Our Albaz is banished. The Sanctifier, Lubellion, and Mirror Jade are dead. We have no more Arthalion, we have no more Gulamel, we are completely dry. No resource, oh boy, that's it. The Rinbrum in the end phase. End phase Rinbrum, discard a card to fuse with the Light Monster, and just like that, back to back in 2 different matches, Ricky using Rinbrum to win the duel into a Philia Regis is here. Both players completely expended of their traps and spells. lethal damage. They both got to be drenched in sweat. These are sweaty duels. Holy moly. This is bringing me back to tier limit mirror match. What the heck is going on in Yu-Gi-Oh now? Insane. Where a duel with 100 different backs and forths could come down to the minute moment of denying them from returning a trap in the graveyard back in the deck with the Little Knight, or potentially not returning the correct fusion monster back, because we have to remember that one was from the graveyard, but that one was from the extra deck. If I return the one from the graveyard, that gets banished. I now don't get to recycle my resource. I don't get to draw a card. This is crazy. A lot of stuff to remember here. It's crazy. Good. I love it. Let's go. 10 Draco Tail. 10. I thought there was like 14. Oh my gosh. 10 Draco Tail. Look at that thickness taking up the pie chart. Holy moly. Let's freaking go. Damn. So the Dragon Maid Draco Tail was tossed in with Draco Tail. Do you all want me to separate that or what? What do we do here? I know the Dragon Maid channel may freak out, so I'll change the deck type to Dragon Maid. But do we just call it Dragon Maid or Dragon Maid Draco Tail? I think I'll just call it Dragon Maid because it's going to be the new best way to play Dragon Maid. Now, let's see all the non-Draco Tail decks here. Ovi Duke, 60 card. Bro, oh my Jesus. Let's see. There you go. I'm not covering up the deck. 60 cards and you only have room for one Retaliating Sea. You what, mate? I think that's what I want to be looking at. For every non-Draco Tail deck, what was your effort put into your deck to counter Draco Tail? All I see is one Retaliating Sea and nothing else specifically put in for the Draco Tail matchup. All right, but good job. Ovi Duke, unfortunately, I think he had the win with the Mosquito. I'm not sure exactly. I got to go back to that duel, but, you know, he's got a lot of complicated plays. Now, let's hop into another one. Gimmick Puppet. I Reach is just trying to first turn kill. That's it. I don't need to put in cards against Draco Tail. If I just first turn kill him, that's enough. Okay, makes sense. Good job, I Reach. And then Onomat Ryzeal, Slayton. Slayton was ready with Protoss, but then didn't really know what to use Protoss against because Draco Tail's got multiple different attributes across the board, all different. Good job, Slayton, though. You know, it is a good job to any non-Draco Tail that did well today. Definitely was not in their favor. Let's see. What else we have here? White Force Azamina. Milito. Good job to you. We got the Snake Eye Vengeance down here and the rest of the deck. The Jurashin is always a good time. Well done. And then the Ryzeal Mitsurugis. Xanax. All these non-Draco Tail decks, they're not really changing anything for Draco Tail. Is that going to change for Sunday? Did people underestimate Draco Tail or what? What's the deal here? Is Retaliating Sea just not good? No, I'm not trying to push something. I'm just trying to be observant. I'm observing. And then, because if Retaliating Sea is overrated, the TCG were all side deck. I mean, I know the side deck's different than the main deck, but it was similarly being used at the same frequency of Lancia for whenever there's Draco Tail, people put in the Retaliating Sea. And Rada does play the Retaliating Sea. It's not a complete blowout. It's not an auto win. It does give you a good advantage in the matchup, though, I'd say. So, good job, Rada. And then the Draco Tails. For the Draco Tail analyzation, we're going to go to the top decks page. We're going to click on Tournaments, Meta Weekly, Draco Tail. Here is all 10. All 10. So we could see among the 10, we have 8 branded fusions, or 7 that is, 7 branded fusions, 1 Spenta, and then Magati no Saw with neither. So I think I'm going to switch my camera over because it's going to jump over there. with Nagate no Saw, he said that he's not playing Branded because he's poor. So he wanted to play Branded. All right. Beyond that, anything out of the ordinary. OCG does not prevalently main deck Sting. That was a TCG thing, and it looks like we're carrying over from the TCG. I think a lot of people took their deck lists and their inspirations from the TCG, and that's why I think that Spenta was maybe completely overlooked. I doubt that everyone had enough time to put in the work to see that Spenta was not worth it, but maybe that still is the case. We'll see for this Sunday. For this Sunday, if Spenta's not used, then I'd be like, all right, Spenta's no good. But we'll see this Sunday. We got a Spenta user here. If you open up Spenta, it's going to take up your normal summon. You'll have a Boar Load. You'll have a Hieratic Seal. Hieratic Seal could summon the Malulu, which could go into a Draco Tail play, which could then go into the Zorora, which will then be able to negate a monster. You know, it's got its merit. It's pretty good. And then we're going to look at the other decks here. Dragon Maid. Do I put you under Dragon Maid? What do you think? How about 911 is your name? Okay. Where do you want to be? Do you want to be under Dragon Maid? You tell me. So, good job to you. Very well done. And Kawaki. Wait, Kawaki moved on? This dude was floodgating with Protoss back-to-back, clapping cheeks. Yeah, he was. And now Kawaki has finally switched his deck to Draco Tail. Very well done. So Kawaki, anything out of the ordinary here? Out of the ordinary, I'm looking. Nothing really jumps out. Pretty standard across the board, it's looking like. There may be some people not on Anaconda. I think Anaconda is good. Even if you don't brute force for Anaconda, Anaconda could just, after a bunch of plays, if you did not use your Rahu, you could then go into your Anaconda. The thing is, if the Rahu gets negated, you're not locked out of Anaconda. They ash the Rahu, you could then get Anacondaing. We now have Lucas. Lucas Rios. Anything crazy? No Anaconda here. And standard main deck. Cool. Maybach. No Hieratic Seal. We are on Anaconda. And then I gotta check for people playing Rinbrum too. I'll just type in Rinbrum. Anything out of the ordinary in the main deck? It is late, so I could be missing something. Looking pretty standard. Earl GB. Is he the only one on Triple Tactics talent? Yup. Earl's the only one. Everyone else wants to fuse with, like, if they're gonna play non-engine, their non-engine has to be a monster. That's their mindset. But if all of your non-engine is a monster, then the chances for my Triple Tactics talent of being turned on goes way up. Because I don't think any of them are on Imperm, right? Are they on Imperm? 0. If the majority of the decks are gonna be not playing Imperm, then Triple Tactics seems like a really good choice. Now, I see Earl is on another card here. What is Earl on? What is he playing? What the heck? He has a Retaliating C and a Contact C. When your opponent summons, you can special summon this from your hand to the opponent's field in defense. The controller cannot fusion, cannot synchro, cannot exceed, or link unless they use this card as a material. That's going to be quite troublesome because you need a Draco Tail plus monsters in the hand. So how do you fuse with the Contact C if it's not a Draco Tail? You can't, not for a Draco Tail fusion. And how do you link summon? Well, you summon this on the resolution of Rahu. They Rahu, it resolves, but ideally they're not using the effect of the Arthalion to return back. But the thing is, if they summon Arthalion, what happens? It's activating. Okay, I chain Contact C to Arthalion activating. Contact C comes out. Arthalion returns the cards in the graveyard back. You're locked out of link summoning. And now you have a Contact C you can't get rid of. Okay, and let's see what else we have here. So, while we didn't see it in the tournament, I'm curious how well it worked out for Earl. DK is live, we live. Gargolo is on Anaconda and Hieratic Seal. In the main deck, nothing crazy. It looks like only Earl was on some retaliating sea shenanigans. Yusuf, in fact, is not playing Sting, and he may be the only one not on Sting. Stingless. Everyone else was stinging up. What is Sting? Sting's a brick. But sometimes bricks are good enough to play. Eric L. was also not on Sting, so only 2 people not playing Sting. What else we have here? Anything crazy in Yusuf's deck? Looking pretty damn standard. Valor has replaced the impermanence. Well-timed Valor on a fat Arthalion, that's going to win duels. And also, thank you, Yusuf. He's got replays and commentary, so if you want a tournament top deck with replays and commentary, grab his Duel or Mod D. Dracotail branded is the best way to play the deck. Don't listen to anyone playing Magistus. I'm not telling people to play Magistus. I'm just saying to test it out. Chill. One of Cart is crazy nice as fodder for Arthalion, and she is also a good normal. Replays on my profile of straight cookage. All right. I like the, the cut of your GIF, mate. All right, good. Now, let's see. Ricky, number 1. Number 1ing it. What separates the number 1 player from the rest? Don't tell me it's just Rinbrum. Oh, there's 2. Eric's all, not Eric, but Earl. Earl. Your name IRL is not Eric, right? Earl also on Rinbrum. We got 2 of the Rinbrum Chads, and Rinbrum did put in work. There was a lot of great Rinbrum plays, even when he didn't have Anaconda, which is the main way to make Rinbrum good. He straight up used a branded fusion to go right into Mirror Jade. And by doing that, you ensure that the Albaz is in grave. You used your Gulamel or the Arthalion on field to go right into the Mirror Jade. You would want to use the Arthalion. And then you have your triple disruption play off of that. By going into the Mirror Jade, you non-target banish send Rinbrum. You reborn the Albaz to fuse with their field. And then what you fuse into is going to get popping and doing whatever it does to be that 3rd form of disruption thanks to the Rinbrum. Rinbrum enables a double disrupt. Holy moly. Again, especially if you have the Anaconda set it up, that's the reason why you want to play it. And to see real quick on the Dracotail breakdown, we go on the TCG. Okay, to be fair, there's a lot of them playing it in the TCG, just 33 though, not the majority, okay? So not to disparage the TCG players here. And what else? The OCG players are not on Rinbrum, but things are getting a little crazy over there, right? They have an OCG exclusive, Ecclesia. So this deck looks like it even has more future support that's going to be helping out the deck. Fallen of the White Dragon's going to be good here. Ecclesia. People start playing the Fallen of the Virtuous. Okay, that's it for the event. Thank you all very much for your support, watching, and all that good stuff.